Everybody assumes the best bike of 2026 has to wear a Honda, Yamaha, or Harley badge. It doesn't, not even close. The machine that riders in the know are quietly obsessing over comes from a completely different corner of the map. And by the end of this, you'll understand exactly why the big three should be sweating. Number 6. Triumph Speed 400. Let's start with the price because it's the part that breaks people's brains. $4,995. That's the MSRP on a brand new Triumph. Not a used one, not a stripped-down promo model. A real Triumph with the badge on the tank and the finish to match for under $5,000. Here's what that money actually gets you. A 398 cubic centimeters single putting out just under 40 horsepower wrapped in a package that weighs around 375 pounds soaking wet. On paper, 40 horsepower doesn't sound like much. In the real world, on a bike this light, it's the difference between wrestling a machine through a canyon and flicking it. You think about a corner and you're already through it. For a new rider, that's confidence. For a veteran, that's a grin every single time you throw a leg over it. And Triumph got the boring stuff right, too. 10,000-mile service intervals and a 2-year unlimited mileage warranty. That means the ownership cost stays low long after the honeymoon is over. Now the honest part, because no bike is perfect, it's a single. Push it past 75 on the interstate and you'll feel that engine buzzing through the pegs and the bars. This is a back road and around town weapon, not a cross-country tour. The stock suspension is also fairly basic. It's fine for smooth pavement, but a little overwhelmed when the road gets rough. But here's my honest take. If your idea of the best bike is the one that gives you the most genuine fun per dollar. The Speed 400 is almost impossible to argue against. Cross-shop it against its scrambler sibling, the 400X at $5,595, and the Naked Speed is still the sweeter deal. This one made the list because it proves the entire premise. You do not need a Big 3 badge to ride something special. Number 5. Royal Enfield Guerrilla 450. Here's the problem with cheap bikes. They usually feel cheap. Bargain bin switchgear, a squinty little LCD screen, suspension that gives up the second you hit a pothole. The Guerrilla 450 was built specifically to break that rule. It starts at $5,299, and for that, you get Royal Enfield's 452 cubic centimeters liquid-cooled Sherpa single, making around 40 horsepower. Tuned to pull cleanly from low in the rev range. This isn't a bike you have to scream to make progress on. It's just as happy trickling through downtown traffic as it is holding a relaxed highway cruise. It's the kind of engine that makes your daily commute feel less like a chore. But the part that really shocks people is the tech. This thing comes with a round TFT dash running full Google Maps navigation built right in, plus proper Showa suspension underneath. At this price, that's genuinely unusual. You're getting hardware you'd normally expect on a bike costing thousands more. Now the catch. Royal Enfield's dealer network in the States is still thinner than the Japanese brands. So, depending on where you live, service might mean a longer ride to the shop. And while that single is full of character, it's not fast. If outright speed is your thing, you might want to look elsewhere. Personally, though, I love what this bike represents. It's got real character, a low seat that works well for shorter riders, and a 3-year unlimited mileage warranty that quietly outguns most of the competition. Owners keep saying the same thing. They bought it expecting a budget toy and ended up with something they genuinely didn't want to sell. Stack it up against a modern Japanese Naked in this class, and the Guerrilla undercuts them by thousands while giving up surprisingly little. It made this list because it proves something important. Affordable and impressive can finally exist on the same bike. Number 4. Royal Enfield Himalayan 450. Picture this. You're on a fire road 40 miles from the nearest paved surface. The sun is dropping, and the trail ahead just turned into loose gravel and river rock. The bike you want underneath you in that moment isn't some $20,000 adventure machine you're afraid to drop. It's this, the Himalayan 450. For $5,999, Royal Enfield gives you a true go-anywhere adventure bike That same 452 cubic centimeters Sherpa single, now paired with a 21-inch front wheel and a 17-inch rear. The classic setup that lets you roll over obstacles instead of getting stopped by them. Up front, you get a proper inverted show-up fork with real suspension travel. There's switchable ABS, so you can disable the rear on dirt, and 2 ride modes built in. This thing is made to get muddy and keep going. The real magic is what it costs to get into serious adventure riding. This Himalayan comes in well under a Kawasaki KLR 650, which sits around $6,900, and below a Suzuki DR65 at roughly $7,000. And it's a far more modern machine than either with liquid cooling and a proper digital dash. Now, the honest part. At around 430 pounds, fully fueled, it's not exactly light. And with 40 horsepower, once you load it up with luggage on a long highway run, you'll need to plan your overtakes. The tall 21-inch front wheel, combined with the adjustable seat height, can also feel a bit intimidating for shorter riders at a stop. But honestly, this is the one on the list I'd pack up and disappear on for a week. Riders who've owned the big, expensive adventure bikes keep saying the same thing. This does 80% of what a bike 3 times the price can do in the places that actually matter. It earned its spot because it makes real adventure accessible. And that's rarer than it should be. If you're looking for reliable motorcycle accessories that can make your rides safer, more comfortable, and more enjoyable, take a look at the links in the video description. We've found some great products at excellent prices. Number 3. Suzuki GSX-8S. Think of this as the spiritual successor to the legendary SV65. That bike everybody and their instructor recommended as the perfect do-it-all middleweight for 2 decades. The GSX-8S takes that same one bike for everything idea and drags it firmly into 2026. At the heart of it is Suzuki's 776 cubic centimeters parallel twin running a 270-degree crank. That's engineering speak for a twin that sounds and feels like a V-twin. Lots of character, lots of low-end grunt. It makes just over 80 horsepower at the crank with a meaty chunk of torque right where you actually use it on the street. What that means in the real world is effortless roll-on. You're in 6th gear on the highway, you spot a gap, you crack the throttle, and it just surges. No frantic downshifting required. And Suzuki loaded it up. You get a bidirectional quick shifter for clutch less up and down shifts, multi-mode traction control, ride modes, and a sharp 5-inch color TFT, all for $9,249. Now, the weak spot. The stock suspension is on the basic side and non-adjustable at the front. So aggressive riders pushing hard on a rough back road will find its limits fairly quickly. A few owners also mention the seat gets firm on longer days. Here's my read. Dollar for dollar, this is one of the most sensible motorcycles you can buy right now. Line it up against its fared sibling, the GSX-8R, at $9,699. And unless you specifically want the fairing, the Naked 8S is the smarter buy. Cross-shop it against a retro-styled rival like the Ducati Scrambler at nearly $10,000. And the Suzuki simply gives you more usable technology for the money. It made this list because it's the anti-hype pick, the bike that just quietly does everything right. Number 2. Kawasaki Z900. Here's a number that shouldn't be possible for the money. About 123 horsepower from a screaming 948 cubic centimeters, inline 4 for $9,999. Let that sink in. 4 cylinders, the configuration that made Japanese bikes famous, the one that howls toward the red line like nothing else on the road. And Kawasaki will sell you one brand new for a hair under $10,000. While most of the industry has been quietly stepping away from affordable 4 cylinders because they're expensive to build, Kawasaki kept the faith. So, what does 123 horsepower actually feel like in the real world? It feels like more than you'll ever fully use on public roads, and that's the point. There's always more. Roll it on in any gear, and the Z900 pulls hard and just keeps pulling. That inline 4 whale climbing higher and higher with it. Wrap that around a lightweight trellis frame and Kawasaki's aggressive Sugumi styling, and you've got a bike that looks and sounds far more expensive than it actually is. Now, the honest downside, and it matters, this is a lot of engine for a newer rider. There are no advanced lean angle, sensitive electronics like you'd find on bikes costing twice as much. It's raw, it's direct, and it demands respect. Kawasaki's standard warranty also runs just 12 months, shorter than what Royal Enfield and Triumph offer further down this list. My take? If you want that classic four-cylinder scream and you don't want to spend 15 grand to get it, nothing else really comes close to the Z900's value. Riders cross-shopping expensive European super nakeds keep coming back to it for one simple reason. You're getting the sound, the power, and the experience for a fraction of the price. It made this list because it represents something that's slowly disappearing, an affordable, full-power inline-four. Let me tell you something. Want to upgrade your ride? Check out the links in the video description for some of the best motorcycle accessories, gear, and rider essentials available at great prices today. Number 1. Aprilia Tuono 660 Factory. This is the one. If a Honda, Yamaha, or Harley showed up to a back road on a Sunday morning, this is the bike that would quietly leave all three in the mirrors and do it while feeling like a race bike that somehow got a license plate. Here's the headline: 105 horsepower from a 659 cubic centimeter twin in a machine that weighs just 399 pounds, ready to ride. That power-to-weight ratio is the whole story. 105 horsepower might sound modest next to a leader bike, but in something this light, it's genuinely intoxicating. The Tuono changes direction like it's reading your mind. You point it into a corner, and it's already leaned over, planted stable, and asking for more speed. This isn't a bike you ride, it's a bike you dance with. And Aprilia didn't cut a single corner. Fully adjustable Öhlins suspension, Brembo brakes, a full electronic suite, cornering ABS, traction control, wheelie control, cruise control, a quick shifter, and 5 ride modes. This is superbike-level hardware in a middleweight package, and it comes in at $11,499. Now, the downsides? Because they matter. This is a boutique Italian machine. That price is roughly 50% higher than something like a Kawasaki Z650. And the dealer network is thinner, so you're committing to a bit more ownership effort. The riding position is aggressive, and taller riders might find it slightly cramped on longer rides. But here's the reality. This is the one bike on this entire list I'd buy with my own money. No hesitation, owners don't talk about this bike like it's just a machine. They talk about it like a first love. And that tells you everything. Yes, it costs more than the Suzuki and the Kawasaki, but what it delivers is something the big three simply don't offer at anything close to this price. And that's why the best motorcycle of 2026 doesn't wear a Honda, a Yamaha, or a Harley badge. It wears an Aprilia. So there it is, 6 bikes and not one from the brands everyone defaults to. If spending my own money, it's the Aprilia Tuono 660 Factory. No contest. Want raw value instead? The Kawasaki Z900. New rider? The Triumph Speed 400. But the crown belongs to Aprilia. So now I'm curious. Which one of these 6 would you park in your garage? Drop it in the comments and you know what to do. Ride safe, ride smart, and we'll see you in the next one.